All right. Hi, everybody. This is Adam Netzer with Visibull, and we're doing another one of our SEO audits for this time a company called Go Cleaning in Coventry. That's in the UK, not near my hometown in Coventry, Connecticut. We'll talk a little bit about that because when you're doing SEO for a specific location, when you're doing local area business SEO, it's very important that you know what Google knows about city names when there are multiple city names across the world. So we'll go into that a little bit. I have with me James Owen, the owner of Go Cleaning. James, say hi.
Hi everyone.
And just briefly introduce yourself as far as, what got you started and how long you've been in business and some challenges that you're facing with regard to SEO and why you'd like to do this audit.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, the business has been going I think about 9 months now. So yeah, still relatively new. I've kind of always wanted to have my own business. I thought cleaning would be an easy way in just because you don't need any qualifications, neither do the people who work for you. So it's nice and easy to find cleaners to work with. And I think it's just a good start business for anyone really. Things have been steady so far in terms of, how much business we've been getting. We've actually I think been quite lucky that we've got a lot of work from a rental agency. We've been getting a steady stream of work from them. What I'm looking to try and improve is the amount of our own jobs we get, through our own website from, private customers who are looking to have their homes cleaned. And I think, one of the challenges we're having is there's quite a lot of competition in the cleaning industry. And the SEO, from what you've told me, Adam, we're not doing the things that we need to be doing to be ranking high on search engines. That's kind of I think what brought us together today to do this podcast.
Sounds good. And what services specifically do you provide? Because I know some
Yeah.
housekeeping services do, because we got a lot of clients in this industry, do commercial cleaning, some don't, some do short-term rental like Airbnb or Verbo. Some do other types of similar services, whether it's window washing, gutter cleaning, power washing, carpet cleaning, etc. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So yeah, our main business is domestic cleaning. So looking at anything from regular domestic cleans, on a weekly, fortnightly, monthly basis, and then we also do deep cleaning, and we also do like move in, move out cleans. Yeah, I mean in terms of commercial, we do a little bit of that, but our main focus at the moment is domestic. Maybe we look at focusing on commercial a little bit more in the future, but yeah, just for now, the domestic side of things is suiting as well.
Sounds good. All right. Well, now that we have somewhat of a background, forgive me, audience, for my office is an absolute mess while we're building this computer behind me. So it's like a workshop in here. We're almost done. It's actually operational, but we're going to be getting rid of all the soft tubing and putting in nice chrome hard tubing. So it's going to get all blinged out. So we're in the final stages, but this office is an absolute wreck right now while we're building it. So we're going to dive right into this. We have a lot of reports. We're going to try to stay in order because sometimes I go on a tangent when I really want to dive deep into something and explain it. So I have my notes here. I'm not going to use this front monitor because it's way too wide. So on your screen, it's going to come out as like a very thin, narrow band. So I'm going to use my other ultra wide. It's a little shorter, but it's also still wide. So I'm going to try to zoom in where I can. Some aspects of like the Chrome browser, like when I go over title tags, I cannot zoom that. The browser just doesn't allow to zoom, but I'll read what it says for folks that can't see it. But for the most part, as I'm showing you something, if you're having a hard time seeing it, James, let me know so that I can zoom in.
Yeah.
I'll try to be conscious about that. All right,
Okay.
so let's dive into it. Let me share my screen here. Let me put something on there so I know which monitor I'm dealing with here. Okay, share. And switch cameras. Okay. So can you see this screen?
Yeah, I can indeed.
I'm moving my notes around. Okay, I'm going to move my notes off. I just needed to know which monitor I'm working with here. So let's start from the very top. One of the first things we do is just a brand search, right? So we take the name. When I say brand in SEO, I want to be very clear about this. In SEO, whenever I mention the word brand, I'm simply talking the business name. Okay. So when I do a brand search, which is both letters capital, and then cleaning, I think the C is capital, right? Cleaning.
Yes.
Okay. Coventry, and then we'll just do UK. Okay. What I'm looking for is the overwhelming majority, like 16 out of 20, 18 out of 20 sites that are not, not just your site, but sites that reference your brand specifically. Okay. If there's another Go Cleaning or something very similar that is coming up, then that's a conflict with your brand, right? You want to have as many of these search results mentioning or pointing to your brand, like directory sites. Like here
Yeah.
in the US, we have Yellow Pages, Merchant Circle, City Pages, Foursquare, Dex Knows. There's a million of them, right? But as long as it's a link referencing your business and not someone else's, that's what we're looking for, right? Because that's a demonstration of the strength of your brand. And it could be any form of advertising that someone is doing, paid ads or whatever, where your brand name gets out there and then someone simply searches your brand name. You want to make sure that they're actually clicking on something that's going to eventually drive the customer's buying journey through your assets and eventually to your website and to you, right? So, and we'll get to this Booking Koala. It looks like you're using the BK site builder. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the favicon image, that's a small logo. You can change this in the BK software. This is very common. How long have you been in business again?
Around about 9 months.
9 months? Okay. Let me just make sure my camera's working. Okay, good. All right, so this is a change inside the BK's web builder. I I'm not in it enough with my clients that actually use BK to remember the exact steps to get there. But you can ask in the BK forums and just say
Yeah.
favicon. It's Favicon. That's the name for this. Like if you look at my website, get this pulled up, let's go to the root domain here. You'll see the check mark. That's our short logo because you're
Yeah.
dealing with a very small amount of space. So you got to kind of shorten up and square up a logo. So if I go to Go Cleaning, it's interesting because it's showing here, but it's not showing in search. So there might be a setting where it's got to be broadcasted out. Or did you change it recently? Maybe Google just hasn't updated their.
Fairly recently. The only thing I would say is I can see there the link to our website is not. Is that the .bookingkoala.com domain?
Oh,
Um,
okay. So that might be, yeah, actually, now that
uh,
you mentioned that, that might be Booking Koala has a version to get to you.
yeah. So I don't know if you're. I was trying to look for a way to if we can just turn off the .bookingkoala
Yeah, there might be a way to
link.
do that as well.
Yeah,
So
and just use our own domain.
I'm trying to find your site here. Okay. Unless my eyes are deceiving me. Let me zoom that again here. Yeah, that's really interesting. Your brand is really not showing up well. But that's okay. We're gonna go over how to improve that. Okay.
Sure.
So, all right. So your favicon looks good. It's just, yeah, that looks like the bookings. They might be actually competing for you right now as far as space. Google's thinking that this site is stronger than your own.
Okay.
So that's why it's referencing it there. Let's close this down. Okay. So this needs significant improvement. However, if I were to just go to google.com, just for the search engine itself, and put in the domain search, which in this case, this is another thing you want to do is run a domain search. And you just got to be careful how you do it, because Google will, the browser sometimes will take you to the page instead of actually giving you a search for the domain. When you run a domain search, you'll see all of these references are to the domain. So that's good. Like Bark
Yeah.
listing. Okay. So you're doing well there. So domain search is performing well, but the brand search is not. Okay. So we just got to, it's just a sign that we need to really strengthen the brand, especially because there are other Go Cleaning or Go Cleaning something companies
Yeah.
that do other types of cleaning, maybe power washing or whatever, and they're coming up in search as well. And that's a challenge. I've run into a number of businesses that either had the same exact business name as another cleaning company, maybe on this other side of the country or whatever, and customers are calling the wrong one. And that obviously creates a bad experience for everybody. So
Yeah.
very important to have your brand be the strong one. Now let's go to the website. And one thing I noticed right off the bat is you have two homepages. You have this one, just again, I'm going to try to zoom in here. See, I can't zoom that part of the browser, but the gocleaninguk.com, which is what it should be. But then you also have gocleaninguk.com/home. Okay. So this might be, again, part of when you're building the BK page or site out, it might have caused like a duplication. I've seen this with GoDaddy page builders as well. Very important, because when you're having duplicate pages like this, it causes conflict, because Google doesn't like pages that are identical. And so you want to definitely remove the home. You don't necessarily, because it's a home page, you don't need a directory or a slash and then home, right? So I would just,
Right. Yeah.
I don't think, when I looked at it, it seemed like the pages were exactly identical. So just make sure there's nothing on here on the home that you wouldn't want, or that you would want to make sure that you have on the regular one. And then just if there's a section like that, just put it over into the root one, and then get rid of the home one. Okay.
Sure.
Get rid of this hide. Oh, okay, there we go. Nope. All right, trying to get rid of this thing that's in my way. Hide. I think I hit the wrong. Hide floating media controls. There we go. Okay. So that's one thing right there. And it's reflected in this report here. Again, this is something I don't know if I can zoom. I don't think I could zoom this. But what this did was crawl your whole website to get all of your pages and their page titles, because we need to definitely talk about page titles. The meta titles, that's when you mouse over the tab here and the content there, because right now it says home, which is the default.
Yeah.
What a lot of page builders will have as the default for the title, because it's the home page. But this is Google's putting a lot of weight right now on meta titles to provide
Okay.
organization. Google's making a massive shift. The first announcement was way back in 2015, and then again in 2018, and then their massive helpful content update, which is actually a series of updates over the past year. And this has been a dramatic shift, because Google needed, before 2015, Google needed more content out there, articles, blogs, topics, everything under the sun, right? How to do anything, whatever, right? Do it yourself stuff. They just needed all sorts of content about life and the way the world works on the internet. But then it hit critical mass to the point where now there's duplication. Like, how many, I always use this example because I was making banana bread one day and I realized I needed over-ripened bananas to make good banana bread, and I had green, not fully ripe bananas, and I'm like, what do I do? And so I Googled it. Is there any way to accelerate the ripening process? And you pop it in the oven for a few minutes and it will do that. But there was like 50,000 articles on the same thing and a bunch of YouTube videos. Like, how many articles do we need of the same thing as simple as popping a banana in the oven for 5 minutes, right? So we have way too much duplicate content out there. So what does Google now focus on? It's the quality of the content, or structure and hierarchies and categories, the organization of all of this stuff. So you'll hear about people using the skyscraper effect, which is you take an article and you make it better, you enhance it, you provide better information, maybe you add some charts and graphs and things. So Google's looking at the content and saying, we like this content better, or it's more authoritative because more people are linking to that content, adding credibility to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, so this is a big shift because in the past, and unfortunately, most SEO agencies are still hyper focused, and business owners as well, on content. So they're like, we need 3,000 words on this page, and we got to keep using the same terms over and over again. Especially in house cleaning, you have house cleaning, you have domestic house cleaning, you have residential house cleaning, you've got maid service, you got a lot of synonyms. Well, Google now, through their language learning architecture, knows all those are synonyms right now, and it actually does not like you spamming all those different variants, okay, just because you feel that you might have to. You don't have to anymore. It's less about keywords and it's more about the overall arching topical category, and we're going to get into that, okay? So with the title tags, it's all about helping Google understand specifically what that page is about. Now, your home page is all about your brand. It's what the page is for, is to showcase the brand. So the brand is the priority on the home page. If you have service pages, if you're a service-based business, as you are, and you have a services page, that's all about prioritizing the service. If you are a multi-location business and you have location pages, that's all about the location. So when you think about a web page or a website, you got to think about it as, how can I best organize this content? Not just for Google, because it's Google wants you not thinking of SEO as how can I rank and manipulate rank to get to the top. Okay. Google wants you thinking, how can I best organize my content in such a way that it provides the best experience, the shortest number of steps for consumers who are visiting my site to get to the information that they need as quickly and efficiently as possible. You do that and Google reward you for it, okay? So Google looks at a website like a thesis paper or some sort of report that you would write in college. You know, your menu is like your table of contents. You have title on the page, then you have smaller fonts but still bigger than the body content, and those are your headings, and then you might have subheadings, and when you have a subheading, it should be supporting immediately the primary heading above it. So everything should be done in very specific orders so that when the crawlers are coming to your website to get a sense of what your site or pages are specifically about, there's something called crawl resistance. We want to reduce the amount of work the bots have to do to figure it out, right? The easier it is for the bots to understand three critical things: who you are, what you do, and where you do it, the better. So a lot of SEO, proper SEO, is focusing on structure, categories, and hierarchies. And we're going to talk about hierarchies in a minute, because in house cleaning, it's very interesting. It's going to blow your mind when you see how Google understands the house cleaning industry, because again, so many SEO agencies are getting this wrong because they're focusing on keywords instead of categories. So with the title tags or meta titles, they're synonymous. This is one of the biggest weighting factors for on page. That's mean all SEO that you do on the page on your website, because there's a bunch of SEO like backlinking and citation management and reviews and all that stuff that's off your website. But when we're specifically talking about optimizing your website for SEO, one of the biggest movers right now, and in my opinion, I think Google's putting a little too much weight on them, but that's what they're doing. So we got to appeal to the Google overlords and do what they want. So right now, meta titles are a major factor in ranking, and we want to make sure we get them right. So this scanner that I use to get all of your pages and the titles, we're going to go over this because you'll notice that you have two pages, our services and gallery, that actually have the same title. And you never want to have the same title. You don't even want to have the same words just moved in different orders. Okay. Or synonyms and stuff. You want to have very, very distinct titles between your different pages. Okay. So
sorry, does that go back to what you said about, you know, the way Google's changed in that they don't want you to spam keywords, they want you to, you know, have quality of your content to, you know, provide a good user experience?
Absolutely. And the bots can only do so much. AI, a lot of people are like, it's going to take away all these jobs and stuff. It's AI still has a lot of imperfections, and so does Google's algorithm. So it's important to understand, currently how Google's algorithm works. But overall, for the long term, because you don't want to just ride a wave and then it peters out, and then you got to go find the next wave again. That's what a lot of agencies do. They play that manipulation game, and
Yeah.
it's called black hat versus white hat. It's a term in the SEO industry. It's modeled after the old westerns. The bad guy wore the black hat, the good guy wore the white hat. It's kind of it
Hmm.
helped the people watching the movie to understand who was good and who was bad. Well, it's the same thing that the terms are used in SEO. So black hat tactics can be very effective, but very short term, and eventually you're going to get caught and penalized, and it's just not worth it in the long run, especially for business owners, because they should be focusing on running their business, HR related stuff, hiring, firing, training, new business development. The last thing they should be burying their full-time energy on is figuring out what Google's doing tomorrow, right? So
Sure.
you
Yeah.
want to do make legacy decisions that are exactly what Google wants, but for the long term. Now, Google does consistently change their algorithm, so there's always adaptations that we have to do. For example, the sunsetting recently of the business.sites, those were amazing for SEO. It was part of the Google business profile, your knowledge panel
Yeah.
over here. Part of the assets that you could build was a free website, and it was a great, it's owned by Google. It was a great source for building links to it and links from it for SEO, but Google just got rid of them. So we have to always adapt, but the important thing is to make decisions with regard to SEO that Google is in favor of, and it's also better for your clients. You think about these doorway pages that are really bad to do now, but so many websites have them, which is they'll take all the towns in the area and make location pages for all of them, and it's a whole bunch of repetitive content where all they really did was maybe change a graphic and then change the city name, right? Those
Yeah.
are doorway pages, and it's very, very bad for SEO now, and it's completely unnecessary. There's also something called
Yeah.
crawl budget. Crawl budget is being reduced. That's the number of pages that when the crawlers come to your site, how many pages they're going to crawl. So when they go to a small business, they may only grab 3 pages. And then, a week later, they'll grab another 3 pages. If you've got a whole bunch of like 5 services and 10 locations, and you're creating individual pages, that's 5 times 10, that's 50 different pages that are completely unnecessary. And because of reduced crawl budget, if you're Amazon or some big retailer, high traffic, you're going to get a very high crawl budget. But most small and medium-sized companies are not going to get that kind of crawl budget, and it takes multiple times to go to the site. Shorter is better, smaller is better. As long as you're getting all your content in there and organized properly, less is more. And that's great, because that means it costs less time and money to build web pages now, or websites, right? Because you
Yeah.
have to manage all those different pages. So it's actually beneficial that the algorithms have become a lot more efficient. Okay. So run away from any agency that's like, oh yeah, we're going to build out all these pages and optimize for this and stuff, because it's all black hat tactics. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
So it sounds to me like, what Google's trying to do is create a good experience for their users rather than, trying to promote people's businesses, which, is the way it should be, right?
oh, absolutely. Well, a big part of that too is if you do house cleaning service in Coventry, UK, before the transition, where over time as mobile devices became more popular, people surf the internet on desktop computers and laptops, but that's since
Yeah.
changed. Most searching now is done on mobile devices, and the screen real estate is so much smaller. The critical local 3-pack that businesses are trying to get into, because this is number one, higher up on the search page than this, so obviously it gets seen first, but it's far more intuitive. So about 70% of consumers organically make their decisions from the local 3-pack, and only about 15% of consumers from the SERPs, the search engine results page. We call it SERPs for short. This organic listings below. Now, most SEO agencies optimize for this, and all the reports they give you are about how much they moved you up here, because it's much easier to get on the first page of this. You'll see those ads all the time. We guarantee first page of Google. They're talking about this
Yeah.
because look how many results there are. A monkey can get you to the first page. It's one of the worst
Yeah.
marketing scams that business owners fall for. but they're talking about this. They're not talking about optimizing for this. This is local SEO. It's a different strategy, highly technical. Now, there are a lot of things that you do with SEO, if you do right, that get you ranked higher here, that will also get you ranked higher here. So a lot of our clients, you'll see, like, we do urology, Oceanside, California. We do what we call a trifecta. #1 in maps, #1 in organic search, and with our reputation management dominating, just absolutely crushing in reviews. This is why our company is called Visibull. Check mark in the V for be chosen, and Visibull, a play on the word visible, is to be found. Show up. If you're a local area business, there are two things you have to master if you want to take your business to very high levels of income: dominate in search and dominate in reviews. Because it's the Amazon shopping era. Everybody's shopping like they're shopping on Amazon. They're checking reviews. 93% of consumers say reviews impact their buying decisions. So, and you're killing two birds with one stone, because reviews, especially quantity matters far more than star rating. You want to be above a 4.5 because of the filter that Google added last year. Okay. So just like Amazon, you have the star rating filter. So you want to be above a 4.5. But after that, it's all about quantity, baby. There's 8 major review-related metrics that Google scores you on. 7 of the 8 are based on getting as many reviews as possible. So the biggest brands that are making the money have thousands of reviews, and they don't stop. You look at, like, I don't know, Zero Res Carpet Cleaning, a huge national brand here in the US. And their Las Vegas location has 8,842 reviews. Because some people ask me, when is it enough? When can I stop paying for reputation management? No, you don't. Because if you actually start slowing down, review velocity, the speed at which you get reviews, is a major ranking factor. So they're going to start thinking you're winding down your business. There's a dental practice down the street from me. They hadn't had a review in 6 months. And when I was literally standing inside their office and I said the name of the business in my phone, or no, I said dentist near me, they didn't even show up when their proximity score was 100%. So Google's thinking, if you're a dentist and you hadn't had a review in 6 months with the number of patients should be seeing every day, you probably retired and forgot to shut down your Google business profile. So that's how much velocity matters. So we're going to talk about reviews because I want to make sure you're optimized for that. As a relatively new business, you have to be very mindful that the best solution that gets the highest conversion rate might not be the best for you, because they're also a bit more pricey, right? So you got to weigh your cash flow versus the system that you use, but you want to eventually graduate to one of the more powerful reputation management platforms, because they make a massive difference. There's a lot of people don't realize how much of a gap in performance there is between different solutions. Okay. And then some of them are not, or actually most of them are not compliant. Like most high-level snapshots for review gen are not compliant, and I've seen as many as 4 violations in one review request. And it depends on the country, because we have the Federal Trade Commission. You do not want to mess with the FTC. The fines are insane. They fined Fashion Nova $4.1 million for review gating. So it's a big deal, and they're hitting small businesses too. But we'll get back to that. Let's focus on the on-site, because we got a lot to cover here. In addition to the duplication, so you want to get rid of this home page. Okay, you don't need it. The services, you could just put services. You don't really need our services. Just make it services. So I would change this slug right here to just services. Okay. That way it's more concise. You just want to just say services, right? Cleaner, shorter the URLs, the better. Okay. And then now, how do we do the meta titles? So remember what I said about this page. This is your home, so it's all about the brand. So the brand takes priority. Now, for pages that you want to rank, it's like the body of an ant. There's 3 sections. I opened up another notepad and I don't know where it went. Hold on. Oh, here it is. Okay. So let me see if I can zoom this in. Okay. There's 3 sections. You're going to have your brand, which is your brand identifier, which is your business name, and you want to make sure you're using everything consistently. There's something called NAP, and I always tell people, don't always trust what people tell you. Google it. Trust but verify. Because let's see if I at the type twister I cannot type. Okay. 6 million, almost 7 million results. What is NAP consistency? It's important for local SEO, crucial to local SEO, okay? I mean, I don't know how many times you want to see why it's so important, but NAP is name, address, phone. You want to make sure that your business name, it's unbelievable how many business I've run into where it'll be all capitalized in one location or without a space, and then another place it's got a space where it didn't before, or it's capitalized differently, right? So you need perfect NAP consistency across all assets, both on your site and off-site. So in your case, you've got the Go all capitalized and then the C capitalized. So when I say brand identifier, that is simply your brand. So for the homepage, that comes first. So it would be Go Cleaning. Hyphen. Now, a lot of people will use pipe symbols. That's the key above the enter key on most people's keyboards. That's the vertical line. Okay, I'm sure you've probably seen a bunch of these. I always say do what Google does. Okay, this is a Google search right here. This is Google's page. We're on Google right now. See google.com, and Google uses hyphens. And don't use the long hyphens. Use the short hyphens that they use, and maintain consistency. So if you hit Alt 0151 on your keyboard, you get that longer hyphen. Sometimes like word processors, like Microsoft Word, will think that you're wanting to use that and will automatically format to that longer hyphen. I like to use Notepad, because if I just type that hyphen, which is at least on my keyboard, to the right of the 0 key across the top of the keyboard, that shorter hyphen, it's not going to change on me because Notepad isn't going to have that intelligence to try to guess what you're trying to do. So it just stays consistent. So you want to use a short hyphen, so it's space, hyphen, space. And then the next thing that's important is the services that you provide for the homepage. So in this case, you want to use the primary category, and we're going to dive into that because we've got some categories we got to investigate. You want to use your primary Google category. Now, if I run a search for Go Cleaning and I pull up your knowledge panel, this may or may not show, and it may or may not show the primary. So you want to confirm that, and you go into your, you can go into your account yourself. But if I don't have access to your back end and I can't see what your primary is listed as, I can use tools. There's one called GMB Spy. That's a Chrome plugin. It's free. And I can go to the map area off of your knowledge panel. You're gonna love all these little tools and tricks. So I would click here, and then I can click this little icon here, this Chrome plugin, and it will actually tell me what the business's primary category. And this is good for spying on your competition, to see what primary and secondary categories they're using. So you have your primary set as house cleaning service, and then you have all these secondaries, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, because we want to make sure that you're providing secondaries that you actually showcase on your website that you do. And sometimes, for example, cleaners, this is a very common misconception. Cleaners, this is for dry cleaners. Okay, Google, this is a category that Google's algorithm uses for dry cleaners. And whenever you're using categories that are not relevant to your industry, it dilutes the effectiveness of your business in search. So we definitely want to take that one off. But we want to talk about blast cleaning, because that's, for people who don't know, it's a combination of air pressure and chemicals and so some abrasives. It creates like a slurry, and then it's used to really like clean very difficult like oil stains on concrete and things of that nature. If you're providing this service, because you need special, usually like a truck with the equipment to come in and do that. If you're providing that service, great. If you're not, then we want to make sure we take that off. But we're going to get to that in a minute. Right now, I just wanted to identify what your primary category is, which is house cleaning service, because that's what your second part of your meta title is going to be. And you got to do proper capitalization. Notice in categories, it's house cleaning service. This is zoomed in. Let me expand this out a little bit. It's house cleaning service. So many agencies and business owners are capitalizing every letter. Look at how Google capitalizes it. If you go to Wikipedia, and we'll have that conversation about Wikipedia, because a lot of people are like, why does Wikipedia matter? Well, Google when you think about it, when you take a step back, Google does not generate content. Google provides the systems for other people to generate content, right? It's called UGC, user-generated content. They bought YouTube. YouTube is a major generator of user-generated content, right? It's a database, so that's all it is, right? Google provides the framework and the search algorithms to make sense of all that content and put it in an organized fashion. Google does not create content. So Google's bots have to go out and learn the language. So where does Google go to learn the language? Well, Wikipedia, a lot of people think Wikipedia is like, I'm going to search Taylor Swift and I'm going to read up on her childhood and who she's dating, which we all know who that is because it's so popular, it's everywhere. And then we're going to look up her discography and things like that. That's how often a lot of people use Wikipedia. They don't realize that Wikipedia is a relational database that actually has most of the words of the English language as a dictionary, but also links to related terms. Okay, and that's how Google learns, not just from Wikipedia, but other sources, how it understands the English language so that you don't have to spam various synonyms because it understands that. Okay, so for example, a lot of people don't realize housekeeping is the topical category. A lot of people get this wrong because when they think house, they think residential. Okay, but it's important to understand the hierarchy. What falls under housekeeping? You have domestic housekeeping. You have institutional housekeeping. Do you see this?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't lose you. Okay, workplace and industrial housekeeping. Okay, so this is your commercial cleaning, and then industrial is like prisons and hospitals and things of that nature. Okay, then underneath domestic housekeeping, look at this, regular domestic housekeeping. That's your recurring cleans, right? Weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. This is anybody watching this that's an owner of a house cleaning business is going to have their mind blown, and a lot of SEO agencies are going to have their mind blown. And I'm happy to educate other SEO agencies because they're woefully getting this wrong and destroying their clients' businesses with really bad SEO. And this is why so many companies are like, man, I spent thousands of dollars and I didn't get any movement. My phone hasn't been ringing anymore. And this is why the new semantic web, the web 3.0, is all about understanding the importance of how Google understands the English language. Then you got your one-off cleanings. That's like your deep cleanings, okay? All of that in here, all right? Even talks about what they do. Specialized domestic cleaning, okay? That's end of tenancy cleaning or your move-ins and move-out cleaning. Wow, what do you know? All of these services, including any commercial that you do, which we'll talk about in a minute because I didn't see any commercial on your website, all falls under housekeeping. Wow, right? So how do we know how to optimize for our title tags? Well, your service page, especially a lot of people in house cleaning for their websites, they will have a service page and they will break out individual pages for deep cleaning, move in, move out cleaning, which my recommendation is to separate those two because people don't search that way. If you go to Google Trends and you search any variation of move in, move hyphen in slash or spaces between the slash, move out in any of those forms, cleaning, and there's a ton of ways you can do it. It's almost like zero as far as the number of people searching, but a ton of people will search for move in cleaning or move out cleaning. So it's good to separate those. Okay.
Okay.
But people will have a service page, but then they will have a menu of the different, deep cleaning, Airbnb cleaning, commercial cleaning, etc. That primary service page that would showcase all of those and have links to the various individual service pages, that page would use housekeeping as part of their title, their meta title. But the home page, you want to optimize for the Google category, not the overall topical category for the industry that you're in. It's a little confusing, but it's very, very important because Google, you want to optimize for Google search. 90% of consumer traffic flows through Google at some point during the customer buying journey. You want to optimize everything for Google as much as possible. So the home page, you're going to use Google's official category for the business that you have listed as your primary, and that's house cleaning service, and it has to be capitalized accordingly because that's how Google is going to line up. You want to match everything perfect with Google. Then what's the last thing? It's your location. Now, location, that's a whole that could be a whole other webinar on deciding how you identify location. When I had originally spoken to you, you had told me, and I'm going to pull up the map of Coventry. You had told me that you wanted to go as far as, let me pull up the map here. You wanted to go as far as Birmingham, okay? And
Yeah.
and I don't know if you can see the problem and or if you're familiar with how much location matters, but Google is ranking businesses on 3 factors: proximity, prominence, and relevance. Proximity is how close the business is to the person searching. Prominence is how much does the search engines, not just Google, but the search engines, because all of them also ranked by prominence, is how much do they believe your brand to be trustworthy or credible? Because what I was telling you about mobile devices is because the screen real estate is so much smaller, that critical 3-pack used to be 7. Google dropped it down to 3, which means you've got only 3 chances now instead of 7. It's so much harder to get into that 3-pack. And Google, on the flip side, is trying to do everything possible to make sure that it's showcasing the best 3 brands for that person searching in that area. Okay. And so it's going to do its best to do that, because think about it. If they list a business that's no longer in business, but they still have their profile and it's a bad number, that's a bad experience. And people are going to be like, why did Google serve up this as a search result? That's terrible. I'm going to go use Bing, or I'm going to use Apple Maps or whatever, some other engine that's competing against Google. So Google is putting a very, very concerted effort into making sure that it has its best guess with all of its incredible algorithms to determine who deserves to be in that critical 3 spot. So that's the importance of prominence. Well, how do you strengthen your brand in the eyes of Google? Well, NAP consistency is a major issue, because think about it. If you have different phone numbers, if you have different addresses showing up because maybe you relocated to another address and you've got ghosts of Christmas past floating around on the internet, Google's going to look at that as a red flag, because if you were a up-to-date business and you were on the ball and you were doing everything you're supposed to be doing, you would have updated those addresses, right? So it's a red flag if they're seeing multiple addresses. There's other businesses that use like virtual offices and UPS store locations and stuff like this, ways to kind of manipulate search too. So they want to really make sure that you are an official business, you're using an officially approved location, and everything lines up. That's prominence. Reviews also are heavily impacting prominence. So that's another ranking factor. And there are a couple others, but reviews and NAP consistency, accuracy, those are major factors, okay? And then relevance. Relevance is when someone's searching in the search string, how much does the words and phrases that they use line up with the services you provide? So an example in house cleaning, a lot of house cleaning businesses do not do blinds because they're fragile and they break and they don't want the liability, right? So they will not mention blinds. But if another business says, well, hey, I'll take that business, I don't mind. I'm insured and I'll just make sure my cleaners are extra careful, right? So they do blinds and they boast the fact that they do blinds because they want to showcase themselves as a more comprehensive house cleaning service. Well, if someone is specifically saying, I'm looking for a house cleaning business that also cleans blinds, the business that mentions blinds, you see how that works, is going to be relevant. Okay, that's the concept of relevance. So proximity, prominence, and relevance. You want to optimize for all 3. Well, proximity, the further you are from that person searching, the harder it is that you're going to show up, because especially if there's other house cleaning businesses that are headquartered closer to that person, they're going to win the proximity score. Okay, when you're this far away from Birmingham, the odds of you getting ranked are very okay, almost nil. I've had some clients that had service area businesses. That's where they don't publish their street address, and they have these shaded regions that are like half the state of Florida. And they showed up nowhere because their proximity score was diluted across that entire region, that they ended up shooting themselves in the foot and not showing up anywhere at all. And you can
Fine.
see that in reflection here. This is your current, this is a GeoGrid. They go by different names, right? Rank tracking report. These numbers represent where you fit in the critical 3-pack. If you're outside of the 3-pack, that means when you're running a search here, this is, where's the 3-pack? This is position 1, this is 2, this is 3. 4 and beyond, you might as well be 44th and beyond, because very few people will click on this. As long as they see something here with a good star rating and quantity of reviews, they're getting the calls. Okay. In
Yeah.
Yellow Pages, did you guys have any kind of like hard page old book before the internet that had?
Yeah, we had Yellow Pages as well. Yeah.
Okay. Well, SEO, a lot of people don't realize this. SEO existed long before the internet. And the way the Yellow Pages worked is everything was in alphabetical order, not only the category. So dentist, if you're looking for a dentist, was near the top of the book. And then if you're looking for I don't know, t-shirt designer or something like that, that's going to be down in the T's, right? So it was alphabetical by category, but it's also alphabetical by the business listings. So what was the strategy that people were doing to optimize for SEO? They named their business like AAA Auto, right? And that was the strategy. They had to set aside, their name, James Owen Automotive. Maybe they wanted to use their name or something in the business. They had to put that aside and say, I'm going to optimize for SEO, because the business that showed up number 1 in that spot, which is the equivalent of this, got twice as much business as the one directly below. In the case of the modern age now, that's not so much the case. Only about 10% more revenue from here, because about 10% of consumers will just grab the first one on the list. Most consumers are, once you get here, the next thing they're looking at is judging who's got the best overall combination of star rating and quantity of reviews. This one has 5, so some people will click this, but some people also get turned off if the star rating is too high. It looks manufactured. Plus, they only have 37 reviews. There's been a lot of research and studies done as far as questions like, how many reviews does a business need to have for there to be a large enough sample size for the star rating to mean something, for the business to be credible? And of course, like, my wife is a review snob, so she'll say something like 500.
Yeah.
But the average was 40. It was like 39.7 or something like that. So just for all intents and purposes, 40. So you want to definitely be above that 40 mark. But then, of course, there's a psychological benefit when you hit that 3rd digit, which they're almost close to doing, right? So it's very, very important to know how consumer minds work as they're scrutinizing which businesses they're going to potentially call. Okay, so these folks, because 4.6 looks a bit more realistic as a business, because especially with house cleaning, a lot of things can go wrong. Vases could get knocked
Yeah.
over, broken, things like that, right? Nobody's perfect. There was a study by Northwestern University that said if your star rating is too high, you could potentially lose about 10% of revenue, because whether people are skeptics or pessimists all the way to over optimists, everybody becomes a cynic when they scrutinize reviews. So they want to see realism, okay, and authenticity. So it looks more real. And so the too good to be true factor actually impacts a lot of minds in the eyes of consumers. Okay. So this Made to Clean, and of course, they're a big company. They got a ton of locations. They're huge. I think like a franchise operation or something.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so they've got a ton of locations and a big brand name and stuff. So they're using a lot of good systems there. Because they don't even have, you'll notice there's no directions. They don't even have they're listed as a service area business, and it's harder to rank for a service area business, and they're still ranking number 1. So, and you'll see it because they got like over 400,000 backlinks. So yeah, and their backlinking is not even topically ideal, but because their authority over the years and everything that they've done and the backlinking that they've had, there's enough backlinks that are good quality backlinks to boost their brand to an insane level. So sometimes you have to, as a small business, pick and choose your battles and realize that you may not pass some of these big national brands, although I've been able to do it. I've been able to take a business in a brand new market, drop them and in less than 2 months, have them dominating over big national brands like Mary Maid and Molly Maid that we have here in the US. It can be done if you do everything right and you're really aggressive with the SEO. And most agencies will say it could take 8 to 10 months, and they're not even going to be able to dominate over the big brands. They'll improve ranking, but it won't be anywhere as near. So it's very important to understand what you're dealing with as far as your competition. You're just not going to show up. And this is for house cleaning service, but it's the same thing. I ran this audit for deep cleaning service, move out cleaning, move in cleaning, end of tenancy cleaning. Surprisingly, move in cleaning, this is your best one. Okay, but look at all of these. You are just out of the 3-pack. You are like right on the bubble in so many areas. Can you imagine if you turned all this green, all the people searching
Yeah.
for cleaning, that all those phone calls would start to come in, right? So you could see how as you start to expand, 21 plus mean because Google, when you click on more businesses, it serves up 20 at a time. Okay, so 21 plus means that you would literally have to hit the next button to show up. That's what that.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I've also seen like within these results, like sometimes you'll see a business in there, maybe they have some reviews, but like they don't even have a website and they're still ranking quite high.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, you don't need a website here. This is based on your Google business profile, how well it's
yeah, so
optimized, your
yeah,
reviews. There's a whole bunch of factors that weigh it in here, but you don't even need a website. For the longest time, website definitely is a ranking factor though, and it's a
yeah,
significant part of it. But for the longest time, I had my own pediatrician that we take our kids dominating in search until they went and created a business dot site. Someone had done it for them or whatever, and it actually screwed up their rankings. But for the
oh
longest
wow,
time, they were ranking #1 in the entire west side of Vegas for pediatrician because they were dominating on my review software, and they didn't even have a website. So yeah,
yeah,
you can certainly make it happen, but you're operating with one hand tied behind your back. The other thing too, what's so critical about a website, about 1/3 of consumers will not do business with a company that doesn't have a website. It's just too much of a red flag. If you're an established professional business, to not have a website in 2024 is just like mind blowing to a lot of consumers. And they're like,
yeah.
there's too many businesses that have websites and they want that assurance. They want to go to the website and just say, okay, this looks like a professional operation. I don't know how you shop, but that's something that I do.
Oh yeah, I'm 100%
Yeah.
one of those consumers. If I see something
Yeah.
like that, I'm like, what are you guys doing?
And here's what's really fascinating about this, because one thing that really kills me about the marketing industry is how plagued it is, unfortunately, with narcissists and just evildoers that just there's no barrier to entry. There's no certification. There's no degree requirement. Anybody can claim themselves an SEO guru. And so there's a lot of manipulation and scamming going on. And one of the biggest ways they do that is manipulating search results. So what they'll do is they'll say, hey, look, we got you #1 in maps. You're in the #1 spot. Well, if the business owner is literally sitting inside their office and they run the search for like house cleaning near me, their proximity score is 100% because they're physically in their office. Go
Mhm.
5 miles away, or what is that equivalent to? About 8 kilometers away in the UK.
No,
And
we're miles. Yeah, we're miles.
your miles?
Yeah, we use miles. Yeah, the UK uses miles, but the whole of Europe around us uses kilometers. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, that's so weird because I've always been for the longest time. Because I always thought we were the black sheep. We were the redhead
Yeah, yeah.
child that was using. Okay, well, I did everything in kilometers, but I could rerun it in miles. But I did like 2.5
That's
kilometers. But between each node, that's what this distance represents. Okay. Um,
okay.
but the problem is that if you go, okay, in the case of like 5 or 8 miles away to a Starbucks or some other coffee shop that provides free Wi-Fi, log into their Wi-Fi, give it a few
Hmm.
minutes for your phone to kind of update and everything, and then run a search, the same exact search, and then you don't show up. A lot of these agencies won't tell you that, right? And that's the
Yeah.
beauty of these types of grids, because these are direct APIs from Google. You cannot fake this stuff unless, of course,
So,
they go into Photoshop
so
and they change all these. But
yeah,
uh,
so this tool looks really good. Is this a free tool or is it something you have
no,
to pay for?
this is Bright Local. We use Bright Local for a number of tools. You got to be very careful with some of these because a lot of the changes with Google's algorithms, some of the resources that Bright Local, Moz, SEMrush, Ahrefs, there's a whole bunch of, Uber Suggest. There's a whole bunch of SEO related tools out there. Some provide certain reports that are free. Others you have to pay for. I'm paying for this. I had to pay for this to run this report because each node is
Okay.
Each node is an API call. And for the purposes of
Yeah.
doing this and sharing this with the community, I don't mind paying for this, but you have to pay for access to this because you get a block of a certain number of thousands of calls that you can do, and then you can run this periodically. It's not a lot of money, but for a business owner, it doesn't really make sense, especially if you got an agency that's already providing you these reports and paying for it. Why
Yeah.
would you need to do it? But it's important to get these reports because the SERPs reports that they got you ranking from some what they call long tail keywords like house cleaning or best house cleaning in the Coventry area. That specific phrase. It was so few people compared to somebody that are simply searching house cleaning service. So few people are doing those long phrases. So if they take like 40 of them and say, we're going to rank you really high for these, and they create blogs and stuff using that exact phrase, and it doesn't even fit within the sentence. It sounds terrible the way they do it. But yeah, they'll get you to rank higher because they're optimizing for those long tail keywords, but it's not going to get the phone to ring. And so that's why this is kind of like the BS meter, because I can really show what's really going on with the business. So we do all these different searches, and of course this covers synonyms. So if I ran this for like maid service, you're going to get a very similar, not too different result. It'll be a little different, but it's fairly similar. Same with house cleaning service near me, because now near me is implied. When you're any kind of business that Google thinks you're looking for a transactional relationship like pizza, dentist, auto body shop, whatever it is, you don't need near me anymore. So if I did run this near me, it would be a waste of credits because the result would be very similar. Okay. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So the reason why I said that I would rethink the strategy of trying to optimize for Birmingham is what you would really need to do is open up a second location, a second Google Business Profile official location to really dominate in there. And that's what I work with my clients, is coaching them on how to find an optimal location. And that's a whole other strategy. But for right now, what I'd like to see is having you dominate, because this is dollar signs. Some people cry when they see this. They're like, oh my God, like this is so bad. But I look at that as like, no, look at how much more money is sitting there waiting to be had if you green in all of these areas. So if you're already a business that's seeing good results, you're getting some calls, you're making some money, then pat yourself on the back for the fact that once this all goes green, you're gonna explode your business, right, in a good way, right, with revenue. So that's all it is. It's just understanding what needs to be done to optimize for this instead of the SERPs, that big wall of text. You want to optimize for getting into that critical 3-pack. Okay.
Yeah, and just one question. So what's like a realistic amount? So you see, obviously you have these the circles that go all the way out. Like what's a realistic amount, how far out you can sort of get these to green?
Excellent question. And that all is a big fat depends. A lot of people ask me questions that a proper answer is depends.
Yeah.
Anybody that would claim that they could do a specific thing, be very wary, because population density, number of competitors in the area, and Google's consistent changes, they've been shrinking your proximity, your capability of how far you can go. Google has been shrinking that recently. So it's in a constant state of flux. And all I can say is that it really depends. And how aggressive your competitors are also focusing on SEO will have an impact on that as well. So it's not just the number of them, it's what they're doing as well. So every single market is different. Every single search term, like if you're trying to get into commercial cleaning and you want to optimize for commercial cleaning, that is itself going to have a different number of competitors that do commercial cleaning, because a lot of house cleaners don't do commercial cleaning, right? So there's a separate number of competitors for that space, and it's a separate Google category, commercial cleaning service. Okay, so that's every single Google category has its own separate set of measures. Okay, and that's good because reviews like my car dealerships, I've got the largest Chevy dealership in the US as a client. I've got the 4th largest Toyota dealership in the US as a client. Both of those stores are doing over 9,000 ROs a month. ROs are repair orders. That's basically anything. It doesn't have to be a repair, like an oil change is considered an RO. Over 9,000
Yeah.
a month. They have thousands of reviews. You're not going to compete against a car dealership, but you don't have to, because that's not your Google category. You are officially a house cleaning service. You are competing against other house cleaning services. Okay, very important to understand that distinction. So all
Yeah.
your SEO is under that silo. That's why, again, I talk about categories, hierarchies, and silos. It's all under that silo of house cleaning. Okay, and then of course the other services, which we'll get into. Okay, just to make sure, what hard stop do you have? Because we still have a lot to uncover. It's
I don't have one. We can go as
okay.
long as we need.
Fantastic. Okay, because I do have a hard stop a little later, but we're still good to go.
Cool.
This is going to be very jam-packed with some very important information. So hopefully people aren't falling asleep. But let's dive into, let's just get back, because I know I kind of go into a tangent sometimes, but I want to be very specific on these things, because there's so many people that will tell you to do something, but they don't back it up with evidence or teach as they go. Some business owners don't want it. They don't want to know how the watch is made. They just want to know what time it is. But you need to understand the fundamentals of how Google works if you really want to take your business to the next level. I have clients that are big mastermind leaders. They're 7-figure, 8-figure operations. They take the time to understand this stuff, not anchor text ratios and getting really into the weeds of the very technical aspects of SEO. They arm themselves with enough to be able to protect themselves from the stupid tax. That's when you invest in vendors that you don't know how to properly vet and spot the BS because you didn't know what questions to ask. You didn't know enough about SEO. Every time I ask business owners who are using an SEO agency, I say, what areas of SEO are they focusing on? Because SEO is a big umbrella. There's a ton of different areas of SEO. And so I asked them, what specifically, can you outline what are they focusing on? They can't tell me. I don't know. I think everything, right? That's the common response that I get. And most SEO
Yeah.
agencies are not doing anywhere near comprehensive SEO. They're only doing the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff. Because in all honesty, most businesses are in your situation. There's a ton of things that could do that are fairly easy to do that agencies will monetize and package and sell and move on to the next agency. But what's going to happen is, in competitive markets, you're going to hit a wall, because they're only going to take your business so far, because they're not doing all the other aspects of SEO. So it's very important to understand that. So we did meta title. So let me go back to this. So we have house cleaning service and location. That's right, location. So location's tricky, because I know obviously if you want to do Birmingham, then you also want to do some of these surrounding towns here, right? And you should be able to, if you've got all your SEO dialed in, you should be able to reach green in some of these areas here, okay?
Yeah.
For Coventry, because the population density is not as big as like some big major cities, okay? So you should be able to do that, but you got to think about how you want to optimize, because you have, like here in Las Vegas, if you fly over Las Vegas, it looks like one big round city completely surrounded by mountains on all sides. Okay, we're like in a, okay. Now, the truth is, though, you have Henderson and you have North Las Vegas. These are incorporated cities that are separate. They're not part, they're part of Clark County. They're part of Las Vegas Valley. And this is where we got to go back to Wikipedia. Las Vegas Valley is actually an official term that is recognized by Google and by proxy through Wikipedia. That includes Las Vegas, Henderson, and North Las Vegas. So a lot of pest control, plumbing, house cleaning, HVAC, all the service area businesses, they usually service the whole valley. They're not just going to carve out Las Vegas. Henderson is still part of the city, the metro area, so to speak. So in this case, if you're in Las Vegas and you service Henderson, which pretty much everyone does, as well as North Las Vegas, then your official location should be Las Vegas Valley for the home page. When you get to your location pages, that's where you're going to isolate the cities within the different locations. In your case, you're one location, so that's not an issue. But multi-location businesses, there's a very specific, again, hierarchy where the home page, you want to cover the greater area. I've got some larger clients. I've got I've got some very big clients, 400 locations stretching US and Canada. So you have to think about, for the homepage, what is the location that's going to cover all of your territory combined. So you might have to go out to a county or a province or a major metro area. Or if you really want to hyper focus and you're just a small business to start, then for right now, what my personal recommendation is, let's get you crushing it in Coventry. Make Coventry your location and just kick it in Coventry, because you're gonna hit the small surrounding towns as well. But let's focus on Coventry, because a lot of people, when they search, if they're in like Binley Woods or whatever, a lot of times they still feel like they're overall kind of part of the overall Coventry area, and they'll just naturally think, since they're coming to me anyway, I'm going to just search, house cleaning service Coventry in the Coventry area. Okay. So you're going to get a lot of that business if you optimize for Coventry. So that's what I recommend. Now, how do we know how to put the term in there? Well, we got to look it up. Coventry. Okay. It is specifically Coventry. It's not, you don't include the greater what is it? West Midlands. You don't include West Midlands County. You don't include this any kind of state or anything like that. This is very important, because if you look at Las Vegas, it's just Las Vegas. But if you look at Phoenix, let me just do it here. Phoenix, because there's other meanings of Phoenix, the mythological bird. Okay, it's actually Phoenix, Arizona, spelled out. Very, very important to know exactly how to put the location identifier in your meta title. So in your case, because Coventry, Connecticut, which is sort of near where I grew up in Connecticut, Coventry, that's why I know there's a Coventry, Connecticut. If you're a house cleaning business in Coventry, you can't put Coventry. You have to put Coventry, Connecticut. Okay. Very, very important to do the research on this. So in your case, we'll go back to here. The final location identifier is Coventry. That's it. Okay. That's your home page. Service page. How do we do that? Well, the primary focus is services. And what we talked about is it's no longer the Google category. We're using that for the home page. It's the topical category that is understood by Google through, by proxy, Wikipedia. That's housekeeping. Right? And then your location comes first. Think about it. When people are searching for services, they don't know your brand. They're going to search for, one-time cleaning or move-out cleaning Coventry, right? Coventry, the location identifier becomes second important. And then, because you're trying to optimize for that page, you do put your brand. Okay?
Okay.
All other pages, all right? You have your gallery, which I would recommend getting rid of. It doesn't provide any value at all. You can include a gallery with like it's also very slow loading because they're very hot. They're not image optimized. So it's like 18 megabytes or something. We're going to get into that in a minute. I would get rid of the gallery page. You can put a carousel, or they have gallery widgets for most web page builders. You could do that and still have that, but put that on your services page. Great to have the pictures. I'm not saying get rid of the pictures. Have them optimized so the page loads quickly, because page speed load times hurt your SEO if anything above 2 is a warning. It's so crazy how there's a chart online somewhere. If you Google it, it shows the bounce rate of consumers after 2 seconds. It drops like a rock. It's insane how impatient our world has become. Because to me, I'm just like, that blows me away, because I'll sit there for 5 seconds. I'll sit there for 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If it's a place I'm really trying to go, I might be like, yeah, this kind of like, why is it taking so long? But I would sit there and wait. But a lot of consumers bounce. So you want to definitely make sure you're under 2 seconds. So we'll get into that, because I ran some analysis on your page speeds. So all other pages. So that would be like your booking page or anything like that. So if it's booking, it could be booking or book now. Okay, that could be both capitalized. It's fine. You're not trying to rank for these pages. Okay. And then you would just do your business. You don't need location. Okay. Now, again, multi-location businesses, a lot of the strategy is going to be different. So, I'm just doing this for you right now, as far as this webinar, because we're going to focus on your business, but we'll do future webinars for anybody watching that is multi-location. We'll talk about that strategy in another webinar. So this is how you should be structuring your titles. Okay. And again, capitalization matters. This is the semantic web. You know how like you get in an argument with someone, maybe you're debating on politics or something, and someone can't defend their position, so they attack your spelling or you use the wrong there, right? Semantics, right? They're nitpicking on semantics. Well, this is the new 3.0, the semantic web. Capitalization even matters. Okay, so very, very important that business.
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely wasn't aware of, because I know obviously we spoke about homepage title before, and I did, I have updated the meta title to, some that basically identical to that, just I have capitalized cleaning service. So yeah, I wasn't aware even capitalization comes into it.
Yeah, yeah, and how can business owners get this right if 99% of SEO agencies are getting this wrong? And we have a team that does testing. So the problem with SEO agencies is that they just throw spaghetti on the wall. They just do a whole bunch of stuff, and they learn through either YouTube or through retreats that they went to for a weekend or whatever on all these different SEO strategies. But they change over time, but they're still using the same strategies because they've seen some results, they've gotten progress, because again, most businesses are woefully bad with their SEO, so it's easy to make changes. But how do you know that of the 20 different strategies, strategy 2, 5, and 7 are actually hurting now, but because you did everything else, you're still moving forward, but you could have gone further and gotten better results had you not done those 3 strategies anymore, right? What we do is we have testers that will have a control group. So we build a whole bunch of assets, we make one change, and then we observe the results. SEO agencies are not doing this because they won't invest in that. They don't feel a need. They're just trying to get more clients and make more money. It's very important to know this because Google does not release their algorithm. They do not share what they're doing. You have to constantly be testing. That's why we know this stuff. Okay. So let's talk about the gallery page. Okay, these now I'm on gig up, gig down fiber, so this page loaded in a blink of an eye. Okay, but it took a very long time for people who are even in moderately fast internet speeds. Okay, so and there's no content on here. There's no relevance to what this is. Okay, I don't even know if there's any alt tags on this. Are there? Yeah, you don't even have any alt tags on these images, which is really bad. Alt tags help the visually impaired understand what an image is. Every image on your page needs to have an alt tag because Google's penalizing you for that. Okay, and it's also a violation of the ADA, which is here in the US. I don't know if you have an equivalent over there, but that's the American for Disability Act. You want to make sure that you're compliant. If there isn't already compliance, most likely it's gonna come around eventually. But there's no value to this. Okay, so you can optimize these. WebP is the format that you really want to use because it's optimized for mobile images instead of JPEG or whatever. Let me see, what is this? This is a does it even say what the file type is? Yeah, where is it? Yeah, it's a JPEG image. Okay, so these are way too big. It was like the total amount of space was like 18, what was it? 18 megabytes. That's insane for a mobile device, especially in a mobile device that doesn't have like full bars to be able to pull down all these images. It's a bad user experience. Okay. But there's no value here. So I would just remove this page. That would help with crawl budget too. You want to keep the minimal amount of pages as possible. And then you want to, and the other thing too is these are great, but it's good to see also before and afters. I would show before afters so people can really get a sense of what it was before you cleaned it to where it is. It just because they can imagine, wow, if they can really turn that that hoarder nightmare into something that is spotless and clean and organized like that, that's awesome, right? So so those are even a bit more effective. But that's not an SEO thing. That's just a strategy.
Just marketing,
and then schema. So schema is the backend code that's in the header location of every page. Okay. And a lot of people will use a plugin through WordPress like Yoast SEO. You have to be very careful because it applies schema universally, like evenly across all pages, which is a very bad thing to do. So a lot of people are like, oh, I could use this plugin. It'll automatically create schema for me. Yeah, no, that's the problem is that schema needs to be properly, location pages need to have local business schema. Service pages need to have service schema. Homepage needs to have organization schema. So it's really important to have that distinction, because what schema does is it's back end code that tells the bots when they get to the page what the page is for and about. Okay, so yes, the bots are going to try to read the page and read your headings and get a sense of that as well. But again, this is about reducing crawl resistance. Get the bots to understand your page like this, right? And then they're going to reward you for it. So, so you can use a free schema markup validator. It's by schema.org. You could just go right to schema. This is, you know, the authority on all things schema. You just go to just Google schema markup validator, and then you can put in your domain, and this will just do your homepage, but you can also check your service pages and everything. And then it will show, if you have schema, it will show you what the schema is. And that's all you have for your schema. Aggregate rating, it's just a schema that's showing your reviews. This is the problem with, now it does have type as local business, but this is not properly written. You don't have same as attributes, which are a list of all, like your Facebook page, all your citation pages, your business directories, all the third-party sites that are referencing your brand. You need to link to all those, because it's basically telling, hey, this is, yeah, you came to our page. This is the same business as all these other entities on the internet. It's about corroboration. You want to corroborate, this is who you are, this is what you do, and this is where you do it. Okay, so you want to have all those same as attributes in here. You also want to have an ID page, which is what we use as an Amazon S3 bucket, which is a powerful page that we build on a high authority platform like Amazon that, again, showcases the name of the business, their hours of operation, the phone number, all the important stuff, right? The services they provide. And then you would link to that. Most people, for their ID page, they link to their homepage. That's like saying, what is a woman? Here in the United States, I cannot believe our society has developed to the point that we can't even define what a woman is. But the argument is that a woman is someone who feels like a woman. It could be a man or whatever, but they feel like they're a woman, right? You can't use the word, the same word in the definition, right, that you're trying to define. That's like saying a dog. What is a dog? A dog is an animal that is a dog. You can't do that because you still have to define what that is, right? It's called a circular definition. That's what happens when you list your ID page, which is a line item here, which you don't see because this is an aggregate rating. It's not the proper schema, but there will be an ID page line here. And then that, you don't want that to be the business, but that's what most people do, and that's what like Yoast SEO does automatically and stuff like that. So all the schema is broken. Okay, so I'll just say it as that. There's a whole bunch of that would take another webinar to go over coaching on how to write schema and all that stuff. But needless to say, this is hurting your website because it's not implemented properly. The BK Site Builder is phenomenal for helping get businesses off the ground and convert, because like I said, 1/3 of consumers will not do business with a company that doesn't have a website. But ideally, because they're so broken, the page builder is not designed for SEO. Ideally, you want to kind of get off of that at some point and have like a WordPress site or something, and then you can have all the control you need to do to build perfect on-site SEO. So anyway, that's schema. Let's see, what do we got next? Page speed. So this is, you want to do page speed both ways, with and without the www, because sometimes there will be hops. What that means is that the back end code of the website gets a little technical here, but if someone types in www.gocleanuk.com, what'll happen is it might hop once to the HTTPS version, which is the secure version, which you should have. That's the little you'll see like a little like depending on the browser, it might have like a padlock, or it'll say secure or something like that on the top left corner. If you don't have an SSL certificate, it's a red flag in the eyes of the search engines. So you won't be trusted. It's a penalty to your SEO. You do, so you're all set. So you're good there. But what'll happen is if someone types, people don't type HTTPS. They don't even type HTTP anymore. They will either type www and then the domain, or just without the www, because you really don't need that anymore. Okay, but you want to do it both ways, because this one, the backend code of your site might hop to just the default. So if you go to your homepage, it defaults as non-www. Okay, so what you want to do is make sure that it's not hopping twice, because if it hops twice, like let's say it goes to the HTTPS version of www, and then it hops again to go to HTTPS non-www version, those multiple hops can be as much as a full second in page speed load times, usually closer to half a second. So if your backend code is proper, no matter how anybody types the domain, it will only hop at most once to the official, what you have here, the non-www HTTPS version. So I always run this twice to make sure there are no what's called landing page redirect error issues, which would show up down in here. And I think you are here, avoid multiple page redirects. So if you go to the waterfall, it will show that actually it didn't hop. So you're okay. That's interesting. Let me see. See, it hopped from go cleaning. No, it did it right. It hopped once. So see how some of these reports are false positives? It didn't actually, it didn't do a third hop. So you're good. Someone had typed this in. I did. This is what it is up here. And then it hopped only once, because you could see it took 266 milliseconds. Had they typed the official one, the HTTPS version, this would have gone away, but no one types HTTPS. Does that make sense? So you're always going to get like one hop. You just don't want to see two or basically a third listing there. So that's a little bit of a false positive, and that's why you got to be very careful with these reports. You got to know what to look for. Now with the page speed time, you're over 2 seconds. So what's causing that? Well, it will usually sort in order, and one of it is your caching could be improved. You have one thing that could be probably your map APIs. Yeah, you're probably not going to be avoid this. Some of these you can't really affect. You might be able to push this to the end, so this loads after your main images and everything load. But to me, this looks like most of it, if I go back to the waterfall, your images, this is mostly your JavaScript. You could probably, with your caching, see, this is the problem. You can't add a caching plugin to the BK site, but you can in WordPress, and they're free, like a WP Fastest Cache. It's a free plugin, and it could push a lot of this JavaScript to the back, and that would improve your page speed load times. Okay. So just to give you an example, like your structure is good, but you're running into some performance problems. So you're after that. Like if you look at mine, I also have the mobile report. And I do mobile because this is for desktop. I did mobile. Mobile, you're having some significant problems because your images are not mobile optimized. So it's taking 8.6 seconds for the first contentful paint, which is basically your big image. So you can optimize these images, but it really goes into depth as to what is. And I'll send you these reports, but these are free. Page speed insights, that's free. You can run that. You select mobile and you do that. GTmetrix you now have to pay for. So I have a paid subscription for this. It used to be free until like a month or two ago. They just changed it, which stinks, but so I had to start paying for this because I love the waterfall. It really helps me dive into what the real problems are. But this still helps, and this is this one is good for desktop. This one's good for mobile. So anyway, that's what it is. So you can go in, like if you had a web designer and you didn't know how to fix all this stuff, these are the kinds of reports that are really good to send to a web designer, and they should have the skills to be able to fix these things. Okay. But just to give you a sense of, an optimized website, GTmetrix. So if you look at getVisibull.com, And again, to be fair, I'll do something local because I did UK for yours. I'm going to do it somewhere in the US for me because most people aren't going to be going looking at my business outside the US, even though we're a global company. Most of our
Yeah.
business is in the US. So I'm going to drop it down to more realistic instead of unlimited. I'm going to do broadband fast and then analyze it. And then you'll see just how high the scores are. And I want to show this to you because a lot of people, I use WordPress and Elementor. So WordPress for the framework, Elementor for the theme, the page builder, the graphical page builder. So many people say that that bogs down your site. Elementor is a hog. It's slow. You can't really get fast page speed times. That's garbage. If you know how to build a proper website, you can make it load incredibly fast. I even have 2 Vimeo video embeds, which are notoriously when you embed YouTube or Vimeo videos, it slows down your website. I even have 2 of them on my homepage. And well, that's interesting. Network payloads. Let me see waterfall. What's causing that? That's interesting. There must be something with Vimeo right now because I'm under 2 seconds. I'm like 1.3 normally. It's really in the middle of the workday too, so it's very high peak times. But this is usually like 90 something percentile most of the time when I run this. And and you got to run this multiple times throughout the day to get an average. So it's very important to do that. This is yeah, this is not actually accurate because if you go to my site, it loads like a blink of an eye. See how fast it loaded?
So in terms of for my website, the first thing I need to look at is optimizing my images.
Yep.
And then what would be kind of the next thing after that, would you say?
I would look at the JavaScript that's showing up there. You might be able to push those down further. But you're not going to be able to do that with a BK site. You're going to have to wait till you get on like a WordPress site where you can control by using plugins for optimizing because BK just doesn't have all that in their page builders. The page builder is important to just get you up and running. Okay. At some point, I would say you're okay, but you really want to kind of be under 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fine.
But again, you got like I just showed you how fast my page loaded, my website loaded was like lightning fast. So GTmetrix and even GTmetrix own servers, if they're being used heavily, will kind of slow it down. So you got to kind of take this with a grain of salt and run it multiple times throughout the day to get a running average. Okay.
Sure.
And you can tell because if I looked at my report, it was green across the board, even though they the things that were slowing it down, network payloads, were not issues that are not normally issues. So it's kind of tough. Again, this is more for like giving to a web developer who can look at the things that they can improve, and they'll be able to make sense of what they can change and what they can't. There are certain types of like Google Analytics and things that will slow down a site if you have it embedded in your site, and you can't change it. So GTmetrix will throw up a false positive telling you that you should do something with Google Analytics, but it's more important to have Google Analytics than not. So you got to kind of weigh the balance, right? So you're never going to have like a perfect 100%, 100%. Usually, if you're using some other valuable tools, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, the biggest thing that stood out was the mobile, because in mobile you've got some serious problems with your images. Your image optimization would have a dramatic impact on this. So I would definitely focus on image optimization and of course fixing that whole gallery page and moving it to a more efficient carousel. Okay.
Yeah. So when you say image optimization, do you just mean basically converting the images into a more friendly format?
Yeah, so WebP #1, but also the file size. Like if you're uploading an image that's like 1000 by 1000 pixels, but on the web page it only really puts it up as 200 by 200, you're wasted the file size because that 1000 by 1000 pixels, that's a much larger file size. If you're only going to be serving up at most 200 pixels, then shrink that file like in Photoshop or something down to 200 by 200, convert it to a WebP, and there's free tools and stuff that use it. I use like Squish, helps optimize images. You can drag the image right in there and work with it, and you'll have options to change it to a WebP. and you'll drop that file size from like, 5 megabytes down to like 80 megabytes. I mean, 80 kilobits. All right, like
Yeah,
much
yeah, yeah,
smaller. Like it's insane how much you can shrink the image and it'll still look good. Okay, you
yeah,
want to make sure you don't shrink it too small where it gets kind of grainy and you lose the color effect, but you've got so much room to play with. So you just got to optimize those images. Now let's talk about the Google Business Profile, because this is one of the biggest ranking factors. It's actually the biggest. It's like it's like slices of a pie. When you're trying to optimize SEO for the critical 3-pack, your Google Business Profile is the largest slice of the pie. It makes up an entire 1/3 of your rankings roughly in getting into that critical 3-pack. Why? Because you can't get in there without a Google Business Profile. And when I mean Google Business Profile, for those who are not familiar, part of it is the knowledge panel. So when you're searching for a brand name, you pull up the brand, you get this knowledge panel. That means they have a functioning and properly validated Google Business Profile that's not suspended. If it was suspended, you wouldn't see it here. Okay. So this is a major part of the Google Business Profile. So some people will call this the Google Business Profile, but the official term is the knowledge panel. Okay. So this page right here, very, very important, not only to have it, but to have it optimized. Okay, because of how much of an impact it has on map pack presence. And there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So the web page link here, if I inspect this, takes you to the home version. See right here, it says https gocleanuk.com/home. When you delete that home page, make sure, because it'll break this, make sure you change this, or you should just change this now. You can do this first. Just get rid of the /home. You don't need it. Okay. So
yeah.
just go into the back end of your settings, and it's the first one, the first icon on the top left. So like if I were to go to Visibull, might as well bring this up. Visibull. And I go to here, it's this first icon, right? Edit profile, and then go down to the website, hit that little pencil, and then just modify it here. I'm going to leave this open because we're going to probably need it in a minute. So let's see, let's go back here. Okay, so that's important. Get that fixed. And then Q&A. Get people to ask questions and then respond to them very quickly and thoroughly. Okay, that helps. You think about this as content. You want to get as much content. Think of this as a social media page. Google, the more you spend on Google, Google loves you because that means you're spending less time on Bing and its other competitors. So
Yeah.
expecting you to be very highly engaged with your Google Business Profile, as if business owners don't have enough on their plate. But again, this is what they're expecting. So the more content you fill this out, the better it's going to be for you. And then boost description. So your description is really, you've got 750 characters to play with. Don't spam different keywords and phrases, but you got a lot of opportunity to really kind of go deep into the services you provide. Okay, so make full use of that. You don't have to get right at 750, but you can use like Microsoft Word. Other tools will have a counter. Spaces count as characters, so you want factor that in when you're writing. Okay, I do on my old website. I have a guide on how to write a really optimal description. I could pull that out of my old site. It still has my old branding. Microdyne Technologies is our parent company. But I've had that brand for so long, and we rebranded just last year to Visibull. So it's still got my old MDT logo and everything on it, but the content is very relevant. So I'll share that. Maybe I'll put that in the link of the description. I've got to get that migrated over. It's just so many more things to do. But it's a great guide on how to write a killer description. And then no posts. So you don't have any posts down here. Very, very important to get posts, or what they call updates. Again, same thing. You would go over here and add update. Okay. So you want to add posts. You want to make sure you use the learn more button option or link. Okay. Because no one does business. They're not going to click on those posts and call you. No one sees that. It's purely just SEO. Okay. I challenge any business to tell me they're getting a bunch of phone calls off of posts they put in their Google Business Profile. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So, but you've got an opportunity not to waste it. So many people will spend so much time creating posts thinking it's going to help, and they don't use the learn more button, and most of that was wasted. Okay. So there's proper ways, like I'll just use like, I don't know, auto glass. Shop Santan Valley. You can see one of my clients, #1 in the map pack, again, dominating reviews. If you go to his knowledge panel and look at his posts, I trained him how to write posts. We actually built some. You can see the ones we built because we put QR code embeds. The bots actually read these, so it's just a little extra SEO. I don't expect business owners to get that crazy, but you can always tell the quality of the work that we do because we do everything to the full. And all the content we build is all unique content. And you can see how extensive it is. So what a lot of people do is also when they do the learn more, they'll link to their homepage all the time. That's bad. You want proper link distribution. You want to link to your other pages. So if it's service related, link to your service pages. If you have dedicated pages for deep cleaning and it's a post about deep cleaning, link specifically to the deep cleaning page, but also link to other external sources. In this case, we built a post that links to Instagram because again, it's all about corroboration and association. We want to draw connections to all the other assets online that corroborate who you are, what you do, and where you do it. So you'll see a lot of our links and stuff that we build will go to a Facebook page, Instagram page, we'll go to the ID page, we'll link to the Amazon S3 bucket, we'll link to all sorts of different things. So this was a service that he had paid for that we built all these out for. It's like a one-time thing just to kind of kickstart the business because it was a new brand. So we wanted to really dominate in that area. This is southeast of Phoenix. So anyway, that's the proper way to build posts. And there's some like post schedulers. We actually have an amazing one built into our reputation management software. I'm not saying you could, I'm not trying to sell you, but it's an amazing feature that allows you to schedule. So you could like build stuff in advance. There's a lot of really cool tools with it. And can get those posts out there. And you can also broadcast to other social media. So it's a huge time saver because this is the problem. It's very time consuming to generate all that stuff, but it's got AI capability and it's a lot easier to create posts and syndicate them in different places far more than it used to be. And then of course you need more reviews because you just don't have enough reviews yet. And that's something that, that's a separate conversation about, and we're going to be, as we build out our YouTube channel, we're going to be giving pointers on how to optimize, including framing techniques, how to integrate with existing software, because timing, especially in house cleaning, the sooner you ask for that review after service is completed, the higher the conversion rate. It plummets dramatically. While the house is nice and fresh smelling before the kids dragged in all the mud and destroyed the house, you want to get that review request out as quickly as possible, okay? So anyway, that's GBP optimization. We got to talk about those titles, the other secondary categories that you have here, because we have to get rid of the ones that are not relevant. Are you actually doing air duct cleaning? Because air duct cleaning requires those special snake tools that they really get in and go through all of the ducts and everything. Do you have specialized equipment to be doing air duct cleaning?
I mean, we might do some, wiping down of the air vents and the sort of initial part of the air duct, but yeah, in terms of like specialized equipment, that sort of thing, yeah, we're not doing anything like that. But it's actually really interesting, the stuff you're saying about, don't put things in that you don't do, because I think the first thing you think is just put as much stuff in as possible. That's your natural thing that you do when you're thinking about, if people search for that, I want to come up for that. But yeah, it's really interesting that you say the best way actually is just to put exactly what you do, instead of, I suppose, spamming categories that you think might help you rank higher.
Yeah, because it's very Google has there's a yes and no to that. If it's not a big business but you do it, then definitely put the category in there. I've got an outdoor patio and awning, and they do like $40,000 backyards, the kitchens and all that kind of stuff, right? But they also sell hot tubs because sometimes people will have a hot tub as part of their backyard thing, right? So they have a massive showroom with a bunch of hot tubs, but it's only about 10% of their business. And I'm like, well, don't you want to sell more hot tubs? Put that because hot tub store is a category. Put that in there. You do sell hot tubs. Sell more hot tubs. Maybe the reason why you're thinking it's not a big deal because you only sell 10% of them is because you're not optimized for it. They were literally not showing up anywhere in search as a retailer for hot tubs, and a major section that was like, I don't know, 500 probably more than that, square feet of their showroom was hot tubs, right? So Yeah, definitely. Even if it's a small part of your business, if you are doing it, definitely do include it. But it's very important to understand that if it's a service that you don't do now, but you might be thinking of doing in the future, then don't put it in, because you definitely don't want to make Google think you're doing services that don't line up with your website, because there's no content to support it. Okay. The other thing too is you got to know what these categories actually mean. A glass shop is flat glass. Okay. An auto glass shop is automotive glass. So there's a lot of auto glass shops that put glass shop as a category, and then they're getting calls for broken windows in homes and stuff like that, and that's tying up their phones, and it's a pain in the butt, right? So you got to be very careful knowing exactly what the categories mean. Okay. So same with glass cleaning service, as I was saying, that's for companies that are bringing the specialized equipment to blast slurry onto hard surfaces. If you're not doing that, I would take that off. Carpet cleaning service, again, they're expecting you to have that special water cleaning, incorporating water, steam, steam cleaning, those special tools with the long hose that goes all the way up into several floors with the truck outside. If you're not doing that specialized cleaning, then I would take that off. Okay. Cleaners, this is dry cleaners. All right. I always tell people, don't trust me, Google it. So if you just do cleaners, okay, you'll look at this. Dry cleaner, dry cleaner, dry cleaner. Okay. So yeah, Google automatically infers cleaners, meaning dry cleaners. Okay. So since you're not a dry cleaning business, I would definitely take that one off.
Yeah, that's kind of funny actually, because I did a search recently just testing things out, and I put in cleaners Coventry into Google, and it was like some dry cleaning business which had like barely any reviews, and the views they did have were bad, and they also didn't have a website as well, and they were ranking higher than me, and I was like, what the hell is that? Like, why are they ranking higher than me? But I
yeah.
suppose because they are actually a a dry cleaning business. That'll be why.
Yep, yep, and you're not alone. A lot of house cleaning businesses see the word cleaners, and because they're typing it, right? They're typing different words, and it auto populates in the back end of Google. So they're like, oh, clean, yeah, that's me. So it's just that's a common mistake. Okay.
Yeah.
Cleaning product supplier. There are some house cleaning businesses, including some in the BK and ZenMaid groups out there, that actually do have their own eco cleaning product or something like that, that they do actually sell as a product. So if you do have something like that, then by all means, but unless you're actually a supplier of those products, I would definitely take that off. Okay. And then commercial cleaning. I didn't see anything on your site. You did say that you do some commercial cleaning. You're going to want to include commercial cleaning as a page on your site. Absolutely, because that is a specialized category. Whoops, we lost. Sometimes you got to refresh this. Let me refresh the page here. Just hit return, get it back. Yeah, I have the back button. Sometimes the GMB spy thing expires out. Okay, so commercial cleaning service, you do currently do that. I would rush to get commercial cleaning page on your site, optimize it based on the title tag structure that I mentioned. You're going to use the exact phrase, including the capitalization, as part of the, so it's going to be commercial cleaning service as exactly written here, space hyphen space Coventry space hyphen space go cleaning. That would be the meta
Yeah.
title for that page. Okay. And I would make that as a separate menu item, because that can separate if you want to do like residential cleaning and then commercial cleaning, or you could just put commercial cleaning under the strategies would be a little different. Both can work. Okay. Because
Yeah.
sometimes
Okay.
people want to go right to commercial, or they want to go right to residential.
Yeah. Another quick thing actually, I had a question on is obviously we spoke a little bit about this earlier, but on my services page, I kind of have all the services on the same page, and then I have little pop-ups that show you, like the full checklist of what's included. Um, is that kind of recommended, or is it better to, obviously you're saying commercial cleaning should have its own page. So
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I don't
yeah,
know.
it really depends on how strong you want to go commercial cleaning. I usually recommend for newer businesses focus on residential because you'll get reviews faster. With
Yeah.
commercial, you could like have like, let's say you work with a property owner, a property management company, and they've got like 500 units. It would be amazing if you get reviews from all those units, but you're not, because you're not directly
Mhm.
connected to those consumers, right? So you're only getting a review from that one property management company. So you're going to be able to explode your brand. And of course, now, once you have hundreds and hundreds or even thousands of reviews, purchasing agents or commercial business owners, when they're vetting you, they're going to see all those reviews, even if they're residential. It doesn't matter to them. They will say, oh, okay, this is definitely a trusted brand and they do good work. You'll get commercial cleaning later so much better. You'll be able to accelerate your business faster if you go that path than starting commercial. Not to say you can't be very successful doing it, but if your focus is residential, you're on the right path. I would just stick with residential and then
Fine.
not invest so much into commercial. That will come later. But you could put commercial, certainly here. Now, when you click on standard clean, it opens up a light, what they call a light box, which goes into the details here. Okay, but it's really more ideal if you have it out. So if you look at like a Tidy Casa, for example, and you look at their services, let's say like deep cleaning, for example, they'll have it bulleted list as far as like the things that they do. Okay. Um,
It's better to have each service with its own page.
Ideally, you could do very well with both, but long term, if you're doing a very strong link building campaign and really
Yeah.
building a lot of relevant assets, so a lot of deep cleaning related content off your site that's linking to your deep cleaning page, over time, you will outperform a business that just has all the services on one page, because you're just going
Okay.
to be able to flesh out so much more content. Look at all this content. These are great headers for different things related to deep cleaning services. And then imagine all of these deep cleaning related posts and blogs, press releases, whatever, all these different sites that are talking specifically about deep cleaning can link to this, and that relevance would be huge. So you have advantages doing this. The downside is it's a little more work to build out these pages individually, but you do it
Yeah.
once, you don't have to do it again. So I generally prefer, for folks that really want to be like a Ryan Knoll or an Elena Ledoux or one of the big names in house cleaning, then yeah, fleshing that content out a bit more would be beneficial. Okay.
Okay.
So that's that regarding well, we covered no posts and reviews and the site. Let's talk about backlinks, okay? Because this is a major part of SEO and very important to, this is another paid tool, unfortunately, but this is something you wouldn't have to do often. And obviously having somebody that can do it for you. What I did was I took two of your biggest competitors, and then that way we can compare their backlink profiles to you. So for people
Yeah.
who are listening, backlinks are not on your website. You can have internal links, which you should have, links relevant, referencing other pages on your site. And then external links, which are links from your site that point to good content or relevant content. This is backlinks. These are third-party sites. They come in many forms. Like I said, they could be blogs on other domains. This is not in this case, the gocleaninguk.com. It's all content that's not on this domain, all right, that points to this domain. So they could be citations, like all those different online Yellow Pages sites, those directory sites. If they have a link to as part of registering your profile on those sites, they will often have a website field, and you put that website that links to it. That a citation is a very specific type of backlink. Okay, press releases, blog articles, all those kinds of things. So what we want to do is we want to look at the strength of these sites. So like, for example, of course, this is a big, huge company with tons of locations. If you go to their site, they've got areas covered. Look at all this. They've got a ton of locations. They've got 4,300 links or referring URLs compared to 107 for clean to clean, which is a smaller business, and then 7 for you. Okay. So let's take a look at this. We have this one, and this one. Okay. Where'd it go? Okay, so this is made to clean. This is the big one. Okay, you can look at their link graph. What this shows is this is the home page right here. You have all these links linking to it, but then you have links linking to those links to linking to those links. So these are like, this would be like a tier 1 because it's tier 0. No, this is a tier 0 because it's linking directly to the site. Tier 1, tier 2 off of that. Okay. These power up these entities power up these entities and make them more authoritative, and then it makes it even stronger when it links to you. Does that make sense? So you want to see an explosion like this. You don't want to see a business. A lot of businesses, they'll have their homepage and then just direct links of all like directory sites that just go like right to their page. So it'll look like a firework. This is like those multi-explosion fireworks that explode multiple times as they spread out through the sky. So this is a healthy backlink profile. Okay. This one here, clean to clean UK, you can see how it's a little less of these and more of like the direct lines. They're just not fleshed out as much. And then if we look at, oh shoot, I think I hit the wrong one. I did not want to hit that. All right, hold on. Let me rebuild it. Where's both backlinks? Here we go. Let's go back to yours. Okay, and then this is yours. Now, you're a really relative business, and this is actually good. Good from the standpoint that you didn't go to Fiverr or Upwork and pay someone to build you backlinks. Or you got some sort of ad in Facebook or whatever. We'll build you 500 backlinks for $50 or $100 or whatever. Never buy those. They're always like link spam farms and everything else. They will actually do more damage, like incredible damage, and the content is god awful. It just don't do it. Proper backlinking takes a lot of work, and it has to be done right. It has to be either topically relevant, meaning it has to be relevant to the industry you're in, and the services you provide, or it has to be geographically relevant. So let's say you did clean a commercial office, like let's say a law firm. Their topical category, you have no topical trust flow, but let me go to one of the others that do. Their topical category would be like legal/injury law, right? If they're an injury law firm, it'll be something along those lines. Okay. That's not topically relevant to construction and maintenance. This is the proper category for house cleaning. It's business/construction and maintenance, because maintenance, again, if you go to Wikipedia and you look up maintenance, what falls under maintenance? Cleaning. So if you do Control F, cleaning, right? Where is it? Right here. Maintenance includes tests, measurements, adjustments, parts replacement, and cleaning. Okay. So maintenance is the category. So when you're looking at link building, topical trust flow, this is the proper. You can have business. Sometimes it'll just say the main category, because that's all the site that linked to you. That's all they were classified as, is general business. But it's even better if you have links that are construction and maintenance, because that's as close to your industry as possible. And now sometimes you might see radio, you might see media, things like that, because maybe the business did like a segment on a local news channel and stuff, so that they get involved with like local news stations to do promotions or whatever. So you might have stuff like that. But for the most part, the majority of the trust flow, and in fact, in this one, it's 46%. So almost half of all of the trust flow is coming from a high topical relevance. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Now, if you clean that law firm and they're local in Coventry, that's geographic relevance. They do not have to be topically relevant. Those are incredibly valuable. Geographically relevant backlinks help boost your 3-pack most, and then topically relevant help you boost your SERPs rankings positions. You want to have a combination of local blog posts and other things that will help boost backlinks, that will help boost your local relevance for map pack placement, but also a proper backlink campaign that boosts your search rankings as well. There should be both. Okay. So that's what is very, very important to understand is topical and geographic relevance. I cannot stress how many sites I do an analysis on, and their backlink profile has been trashed because of bad SEO agencies that are doing link farms. And you'll notice it because it'll be like this cluster here with a million sites connected to it, and that's all spam. Google identifies all that stuff as spam. And so I could look at backlink profiles and identify who's been screwed and who hasn't by third-party vendors. So very, very powerful insights in some of these platforms. Okay. So you want to make sure that if you do go the route of hiring a firm, that you dive deep into the quality of their backlinks and have them show you proof, and make sure that in the contract that all backlinks 100% are either topically or geographically relevant. Very rarely will you get a single backlink that is both geographically, that would be like a competitor of yours linking to you. Who would do that? Right? So you're usually not going to get both. Okay, you're usually going to get one or the other. So it's very important that you're working with an agency that's not going to do like some article on like a Martha Stewart candle making, like do-it-yourself candles, linking to a house cleaning business. That stuff used to work many years ago. It doesn't work anymore. Okay, very, very important. Okay, so you have nothing in your backlink profile, which means you haven't caused any damage. So I love to see this because we could start clean if I were to do backlinking for you. Okay. So I like this. I like to see this because there's no undoing or damage control that I have to put a lot of time and money into. Okay. So that's it. That is the whole workup that we did for this. I know it's super long. It's like 2 hours. We did one for a company in the Netherlands that was also right on the mark of 2 hours. So I hope that this was informative. What do you think about all the information we shared today?
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting, just to know how much goes into this stuff. Feels like we're only really just scratching the surface on each of the topics, but it still took up 2 hours. So like, yeah, it's been great though to get some pointers on where I can start looking to improve some of these things, get some quick wins in there, but also as you've sort of outlined, not all this stuff is quick wins. It's something that you need to look to implement within your business over a long term as a long-term strategy as well.
Yeah, but isn't it fascinating how much of what I went over today are free things that you can do yourself?
Yeah,
Or if
definitely.
it's just a little technical, you can hire someone on Fiverr to make some changes to the website if you're not familiar with like whatever web page builder you're doing. This is why I try to get people off of BK and onto WordPress, because there's a million
Yeah,
WordPress developers on Fiverr that you can hire on the cheap to do very basic stuff on websites. And then if we give you the proper instructions that you can hand to them, then you don't have to be bogged down with the technical. You can just let them do it. And we work with a lot of folks that way, because we're horrible at design. So we stink. We're technical super geeks. So we understand what needs to get done. We can't graphically do it because our sense of style is zero. So
yeah,
we give that to the business owner for them to either, if they're familiar with WordPress or whatever page builder they're using, Wix, Squarespace, etc., they either do themselves or hand it to somebody that can do it. But we at least outline everything in great detail. And nothing we provide is, if there's any web designer that knows what they're doing, they should have no problem doing these things. Because even most business owners, oh yeah, I know where to go in and change the title tags. I just needed to know how
yeah,
to structure them properly. So this is really critical because SEO agencies package all this stuff and try to monetize it. And it's like, no, a lot of these things, if you were just given a little bit of guidance, now a lot of them will defend, well, that's our specialty. We understand it, and that should come at a cost. Yes and no. There are like simple optimizations that, to build a proper relationship with your clients, if it's something that's so easy for them to do on their own, I'm of the mindset, because we're extreme ethics, I'm of the mindset of just give all that free stuff to the business owner. Let them do it. If they're comfortable doing it themselves, just show them, give them a little coaching, and focus on the things they can't do, right? Business owners are especially small businesses, because I work with some big companies and they can absorb the stupid tax. Small business owners cannot absorb the stupid tax. So we want to
Yeah.
try to have business owners just get the stuff done that they need to do. See some big gains. Because in the long run, you do that, everybody wins. Because now the business owner is starting to get more phone calls, they're getting more business, and then they can invest in your services and the things that they can't do. Everybody wins that way. So why don't we just do that? So
Yeah.
anyway, that's my philosophy on it. So I'm going to give you all of the reports that we went over, including the
Thank
link
you.
to this. And then I'm going to give you the notes. So you have that. And then the optimal description. I'll try to see if I can get that rebranded and then sent to you. But in expediency, I'll give you the old one just so you have access to that, so you can optimize your description.
Perfect.
And then if you ever do want to do the things like backlinking, which, you know, that's not something a business owner should be doing,
Yeah.
or looking at reputation management and seeing what you can do to get that optimized, unified inbox, everything, all of our services are based on getting a business, local business. That's all we focus on. We don't do e-commerce and other businesses. All we do is focus on companies like you.
Okay.
Everything is about being found and being chosen, getting you to dominate in search, getting you to dominate in reviews. So what you can't do, that's what we try to fill in the gaps. That way our prices are so much lower because you get to do all the things you can do and only pay for the small things that you can't do. And that's the proper way to do business in my mind. So I hope to have that great relationship with you. I hope to have a continuing dialogue. Definitely when you start making all these changes, shoot me a message so I can take a look and see how the
Thank
progress
you.
has been. Because, you know, a couple months from now, if you make a lot of these changes, I'd love to run this again and just see the difference. And maybe we can share that with the community as well. Just the free things that you've done just to show how much you've improved. How's that
Yeah,
sound?
yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, and I really appreciate you taking the time to go through these things. I mean, I really like your sort of business philosophy you talked through there of, you know, being happy to share the sort of easy things for business owners to do. And then, you know, you can provide your help with the more sort of difficult things. You know, I think a lot of other, you know, SEO companies are trying to do everything, and I'm sure a lot of them are charging a lot of money just to do the easy things. So yeah, you know, it's been great to learn all this stuff and get some pointers from you. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of other, you know, business owners, small business owners, local business owners can, you know, take some things for themselves from what we've discussed today.
Yeah, absolutely. Because a lot of business owners are facing these same issues or very similar.
Yeah,
The strategies are always going to be different. Every business is a snowflake, but there's a lot of overlap when you're dealing with the local area business industry, and even overlap between other local businesses like HVAC and pest control, because the algorithms are pretty much the same. So there's definitely a lot of meat that people can take off of this bone and apply to their own business. And that's an incredible, I always say humility is the greatest demonstration of strength. And for you to be humble enough to share this experience with everybody, that speaks volumes about your character, that you're willing to go through this exercise. Because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, I'm ashamed. I don't want people to either know about my business, or you know, that I don't want them to see everything I've done wrong or whatever. They take that kind of attitude, and I'm like, that's not a winning attitude. Winners don't
no,
do that. Winners are like, give me the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's bring it all out. I don't want to sweep it under the rug. I want to bring it all out on the
yeah,
table. Let's have a discussion. I want to get
yeah,
better, right?
yeah. And
That's the mindset of a winner.
the best way to learn, right, is from making the mistakes. You make the mistake, and then you don't make it again.
Yeah, no,
That's
absolutely.
the way I like to work.
Absolutely. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording and end the webinar, and then I'm going to take that and then render it on the new massive machine that we built, which won't take 24 hours like the last one that I did. That was a 2-hour meeting. This should get it done in a couple hours or even less. I will be able to get that into a video file, upload it to YouTube, and then I will share that link with you and the community so that you can always reference this, because
Brilliant.
it's a lot of content, right? It's so hard to
Yeah.
remember all this stuff, even with the notes and stuff that I'm going to email you as well. All right.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Adam. Yeah, really
Awesome.
appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you. And you take care.